Welcome back to Cartel Blanche. This is episode 2. I'm Joe.
I'm Kat.
I'm Jeff.
This week we'll be joined by a special guest from our guild, Tom.
Hello everyone, this is Tom. I play Baral, an elemental shaman with these guys in Maniacal on Steam Wheedle Cartel.
And there we go. Follow up from our last episode, there is a little more news on patch 4.2.3, which we were a little excited about. But then both our show for last week and the patch got put off. It did not come out today, unfortunately, due to a reported massive bug issue that Blizzard is looking into. But hopefully it will be coming out next week, which gives us a little more time to go over some upcoming stuff. As you guys may have noticed, we did not have an episode for last week, but just like patch 4.3.2, it has been pushed back. So here we go. There's a little more news on that, and we have another program for you guys going into Mists of Pandaria, some upcoming Blizzard information that'll be coming out, and hopefully we'll have some insightful commentary, or if not insightful, at least entertaining to go off of that. So our first big thing to mention is I'm actually going to skip ahead off the notes we're using. Some people are kind of antsy about this stuff, is the quarterly conference call for Blizzard. The last 3 have shown drops in subscribers, and everybody loves to bring up those numbers. Very massive amounts of people. You know, the first was 600,000 subscribers lost, 300,000, 800,000 on the last one. And Blizzard will turn and say, well, a lot of those represent stuff like the Asian markets and things like that. But with Star Wars coming out, people always having the kind of, oh, been there, done that, you know, Cataclysm, another failure, blah, blah, blah attitude. We're really looking forward to seeing what the return is on the subscribers this time. What do you guys think we're going to see? Are we going to see a big number, a little number? And either way, what do you think? Do you think Star Wars, The Old Republic's going to have a pretty big impact on that?
I think the subscribers lost won't be as bad as they had feared, but I think it's still going to be, they're going to say, oh crap.
I honestly think that the 800,000 is probably the biggest that we'll get, because that was the quarter where Star Wars came out. So I think the biggest burst is over with, and then it'll probably just, be smaller.
Well, I think that was actually announced well in advance of Star Wars coming out, but from our own experience, I may be wrong on that, but from our own experience, a lot of people more or less quit Warcraft early waiting for Star Wars. They went through Tier 12 content. Oh, Fireland's been there, done that. We're tired of this. And they went ahead and let their subscriptions run out. Even in our guild, we had quite a few people do that.
Yeah.
3, 4 of them.
Well, what you're looking at, though, is it depends on when this quarter is recorded, because if you didn't notice lately that the Old Republic actually had a kind of a riot because of their PvP changes where people actually rage quit from their subscriptions. So depending on when it's reported, you're going to see either the number be smaller due to the people coming back to WoW, because people get bored, they come back. But you're also going to have that thing where if it was recorded before that, you're going to see a larger number than I think than what we were looking at before. I think probably more towards the 800,000.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because you could really say it either way. A lot of people that you've always got the hopelessly dedicated Warcraft people that they hate the game, but they play it. They keep that subscription up, and it's really they pay $15 to play something.
It's like crack for them.
Yeah, they like the game because they keep paying for it,
but they feel chained to it.
Yeah, man, if they don't also pay to complain about it, and it's not constructive either. If they're that unhappy, I say leave. But in the meantime, you seem to be still getting your buck's worth.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think I don't know, we may have mentioned this last week, is a lot of people. This was kind of something that I had read before. Is a lot of people feel that the Old Republic is going to lose a ton of subscriptions when their initial pre-purchased month runs out. A lot of people may just be testing the waters, and they're just kind of like, well, this game was kind of cool. I was interested, but it doesn't have the polish I wanted, so I'm not going to renew. I'm kind of interested to see if that happens a lot too with the Old Republic.
To be fair, though, I mean, like I say, playing through the beta like just about everyone else in the world did, the game was more polished than anyone probably expected it to be already.
Yeah.
Most MMOs you can't judge until about almost a year later. This one, we'll see. And like I say, they're going to lose some people, period. Some people are just going to be unhappy with what they saw or bored.
Yeah, I think we might get a few people back from Star Wars and come back to WoW, I think. Not as many as like the other MMOs that tried to quote unquote kill WoW. But I still think a few will come flooding back.
Well, people still play Rift, and people still play
Age of Conan,
Age of Conan, and stuff like that. But yeah, the numbers just aren't there. So, in reference to Star Wars and Cataclysm, I'm really interested in seeing how many people the Old Republic retains and how many people Warcraft loses. I mean, that'll be really interesting. That's February 9th. They're supposed to do that, and I assume that the information will be posted relatively.
There's also another thing to look at here. Sorry to interrupt you, bud. But they made Star Trek. That MMO is now free to play, so some people may go to that. Free to play is really where people are looking to focus too. It's not just the subscription-based ones.
True. Yeah, I keep a friend of ours named Josen keeps telling me about this DC Universe Online, and I finally downloaded it and patched it and stuff, and it's kind of like League of Legends for me. It looks cool, but I've logged in like once, and eventually I'll try it out. So, I mean, there's a lot of these free-to-play games that are, really popular. League of Legends has just got a massive following of people, and I looked at it, and I'm like, well, this looks fun, but there's like 2 maps. How do people not get bored of playing this for like, 5 hours a night? But and people will play what they like, and that's the important thing. We mentioned it last time, though, is I think most of us are generally satisfied with Cataclysm, although there's always things that we're like, well, it'd be nice if they worked on this. It'd be nice if they developed that, stuff like that. I mean, that's just work in progress, and you would never expect Warcraft to be perfect. Blizzard says it's never perfect. We do the best we can. I mean, that's really all you can expect. They'll continue to try to make it better. But, got derailed there. I forgot what I was going after. But what I was saying, there we go, is I hope that the massive interest level in the Old Republic related to any subscriber changes with Warcraft and the Old Republic kind of kicks it up a notch and lights a fire under Blizzard, where they just have to go, like you said, Jeff, oh crap, where if they lose so many people and Star Wars is still going strong, we want that as people that don't have any animosity against Star Wars, because we have friends playing Star Wars, and they're having fun, so that's great. But
competition breeds greatness.
Yes, we want Blizzard to go, we've been king of the hill for 7 years. Star Wars is going to give us a run for our money. Maybe they will never have the massive record player base that Warcraft had, but Star Wars is going to draw in. I believe Obsolescence said that, well, Star Wars is going to be popular even if the game isn't great, because there's going to be more people out there that just are like, yes, Star Wars versus generic fantasy. So there's that aspect too. But yeah, we definitely want Blizzard to go, all right, time to kick it up a notch, and we'll hopefully we will see that play out as Mr. Pandaria approaches for their beta and everything.
Yeah. Well, we guess we could talk about the Dragon Soul possibly becoming the new Ice Crown Citadel.
I don't think there's much possibly to it. It's just going to take longer.
Yeah.
This is something that some people. This is a new development. I think. I believe this is also coming out on 4.3.2, but I don't think we actually went over it last week because I'm not sure if it was out. By last week, I mean 2 weeks ago, because we did skip our second show due to you being sick as crap.
Yeah.
Was it
out last week?
Okay, so yeah, this one's All right, so this one's new for us to go over, but for people that don't really pay attention to patch notes, is Dragon Soul is getting a zone buff called Power of the Aspects, and it works just like the zone buff back in Icecrown Citadel, where as time progresses, Blizzard will buff this zone buff, reducing health, increasing your damage done, stuff like that. And it should be a 5% increment, and it'll get stronger and stronger every few weeks or every month. They'll buff it up. And I personally don't have a problem with Blizzard's explanation for it. People that don't like it need to stop for just a second and go, okay, maybe we're already farming, heroic Spine of Deathwing or something. Not everybody's at our level. And that's fine. I fully believe that if people are already ahead of the pack, clearing progression, farming mount meta achievements, stuff like that, just like it's always been from Wrath and the Tier 12 content onward, is the people that work on the special achievements, the special mounts, stuff like that, they already have their cool trophies. And I'm sorry, I think they're being selfish if they feel that nobody else that's not as good as them deserves to get to that point. It's really, the time invested says that if you try hard enough, you should be able to get it. And the whole skill guild disparity, not everybody's in the top 100 world guilds. They should see the stuff too. They've got the looking for raid tool, and then they get the zone buff. So months and months behind, they can cut their teeth on heroic modes and actually be able to farm Deathwing and stuff like that. So,
well, also it says that they can turn it off. So if they don't like it, they can simply just turn it off.
Interesting option, though. I think most people would be like, "Why would you ever do that?" I mean, is pride worth wiping on Zanaz repeatedly?
Yeah,
I think people would. Because this happened with the ICC buff, people will flaunt the fact that, we got 5 of 8 heroic before the buff and all
now hold on.
stuff.
To be fair, Sim, you got to look at, we were really proud to kill Ragnaros before the patch came out. It's a similar thing there.
Well, yeah, but it's still...
Okay.
Totally went.
It's a stair stepper. It's a ladder. People get to the top first. That's fine. They can be proud all they want. But when other people crawl up behind them, I really don't think they have a foot to stand on to complain because other people got the same shinies they do. They got them months behind. They still get their World of Logs prestige and their WoW Progress prestige, stuff like that. You can be the top rating guild on the top PvP server and the top North American group or the Europe group or whatever, and if you're just in it for pride and to just look down at the people under you, that's cool. That's your $15, but Blizzard understands, and I think it's a correct understanding and a correct decision of theirs to tone the dial down on the content and let everybody else catch up. And I mean, isn't that kind of the spirit of people's complaint with Warcraft right now? It's too easy. Well, the other millions of players that aren't at the level of everybody else deserve to see the content. I just don't see I just don't see the issue with you're making it dumb. You're dumb. Blah blah. Last week, I mentioned that there's basically 3 difficulties in Dragon Soul. You've got Looking for Raid, Normal, and Heroic, and that really well establishes where people can jump into, where their comfort level and gear level is, what their guilds and servers are even capable of fielding, and then, hey, farm your 8/8 Heroic. That's impressive. It is a nice feat to get your 10 or 25 man that has that caliber of players. There's no disrespect to say, hey, you guys are better than us at a video game. Stop being snobby. I mean, they do get their accomplishment and their achievement and their prestige. So I don't see a problem with them being proud about it. But I think they really just need to more or less suck it up when Blizzard goes, cool, you guys have enjoyed being, king of the hill for a while. Now we're just going to level this a bit and everybody can rise up the slope a little easier. I mean, I don't know. It seems overly simple to me, and I don't understand why people are in arms about it. But hey, personal taste.
But you also got to look at the whole thing with LFR and such. And of course, this is an experiment the first time it's out. What you look at is, for us, who play on the server, we all hit LFR real fast, and after that point, we go and we do our normal raid, and after that, there is nothing to do with your character anymore. We get gear so damn fast. There's no grinding through 5-mans past the first week or two of the patch, and then after that, you're just bored. And that's another place where they're losing subscribers. There's just not enough to do now. They keep making it to where there's less and less to do with each character. Yeah, you can level another character with heirlooms, but do you really want to do that? Would you rather play the character you're focusing on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's actually a really good point and a danger of making things easier. I absolutely agree on that. And I think Blizzard understands that too. I think based off of constructive criticism, not just people going, oh, game's so easy, Blizz, blah, 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 and, just kind of the bandwagon complaints that don't have any thought or constructive feedback behind them, just people complaining to complain. Will rail on stuff like that, but then obviously not offer solutions. But I think Blizzard understands that they do need to continue to develop stuff. We had a conversation about this earlier with stuff they can do with 5-mans to make them more appealing and stuff like that. But awkward silence. I derailed myself again. What I was saying is I think they realized that their existing model for stuff like dailies is kind of something that they did into the ground, and they need to expand it again. And
well, let's face it, the Firelands dailies got boring real fast.
Yeah, the Firelands dailies actually, they worked off of a model like we talked about earlier. What I personally liked was like the Shattered Sun dailies up at the Isle of Quel'Danas, was that it was kind of a group or server or factional effort where people would work on things to unlock more stuff. This daily needs to be done 100 times or for 2 weeks or something, and then you unlock a new area with new quests. And that's kind of what they did with the Firelands dailies. But after everybody completed that and farmed all their achievements, there was zero incentive to go back other than, oh man, do I really feel like plunking down 30 minutes to make 300 gold? Nah, not really. I think I'll just stand in Stormwind for the same 30 minutes and stare at the bricks. So I really hope, and I've seen where they've indicated that they're looking into, like, Blizzard mentioned we're kind of looking to try to bring back World PvP. And then obviously people were either like, yay, that sounds cool, but it'll fail because you're bad at this. And then the other group was like, no, don't force me to PvP, Blizz. Don't want to do. If you force me to do that, it's not how I play the game. And then Blizzard, I believe it was actually one of Ghostcrawler's posts. It may have been. It was basically like, well, we're not trying to force people to do things, but we're trying to give them more options and give them ways to experiment with stuff and see if they like it. Now, I know tons of people that do not PvP. They don't think it's fun. They get really frustrated with it. They don't like being, pounced on by like 3 rogues and killed because they have no resilience. So there's some subtle stuff that Blizzard can do, like the PvP zones. Like we had Wintergrass, we had Tolbarad. Although Tolbarad, they decided to go, in my opinion, the wrong direction. I think they should have left the peninsula, the part with the holds. I think they should have left it where it was a permaflag zone. I think that would have just added a dynamic. There's no incentive to go over there to PvP if you know that every 2 hours it's just going to be a bunch of people running around doing quests.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's my inner bastard speaking, where it's like, I'm bored, I want to go kill people, so I'm going to go over to the PvP zone on my non-PvP server and look for people to kill. But that was kind of the thing, where people could go do it if they wanted to. It was an option. Go do some dailies. Also, I'm consenting to engage in random world PvP. And then Blizzard took it away because people don't want to be killed by doing dailies. So, there's a serious balance there. Either side makes a lot of sense. Blizzard kind of is insinuating that they're going to try to find a way to make it work. So I'm pretty enthused about that and hoping they pull it off.
Maybe they could give us back the Tarn Mill South Shore Tug of War. Boy, that was fun back in the day, and they just wiped it out with this patch.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It was Tarn Mill and South Shore, and then there was Stranglethorn Vale. And there was one other, wasn't there? One like hotspot for World PvP.
Yeah. Stranglethorn Vale was never really a hotspot. Stranglethorn Vale was where all the level 60s went to gank people questing.
Yeah. I hated that.
You know, I would like to see them do something more. You know, they did something in Silithus that was very unique, I guess. It didn't work in the end because a lot of people hated it. You know, where you had to go get the Silithus and turn that in for
absolutely.
whatever. It was a PvP zone. And of course, actually, right after I started playing, they started doing the whole, hey, we're going to have World PvP in this and the Plaguelands. And man, that was some cool stuff. And poof, haven't done it since.
Yeah. Yeah, the Silithus was a cool idea. Completely optional, gave you a reward. If you started carrying the thing around, you got flagged, and it even, I believe it showed on the world map for the zone map where the active Silithus was. You could track it and be like, oh, I need to go kill a guy over there. But yeah, the problem with it is it was so unbelievably boring. You had the movement speed penalty, and in order to complete the objective, your faction had to turn in like 200 of them. It was monotonous, but that's like a ghost of the old Warcraft. The Warcraft we're all pretty much thankful is gone, where a lot of us feel that they have in fact maybe oversimplified the game. You know, you take out Onyxia attunement and stuff like that, stuff that was fun, but it took some time. And they wanted to just kind of be like streamline. Hey, okay, we can go with that, Blizzard. If you want to make it a little easier for brand new people to get into, that's cool. Just leave a little side stuff in. But yeah.
Wasn't it Onyxia attunement that was awful to go through?
It was worse for the Horde than Alliance, but yes.
Yeah, it took a lot of time.
You had to go through some huge, tedious process that ended up you had to go to this huge cave in the middle of winter, spring, and
I liked it, honestly. I thought it was cool. It was an epic chain leading up to a major event at the end of the game. I liked attunements, I'll be honest. I liked it that you had to go and get things for cars and be able to do it. But that I like better than item level, because at least you know if people have succeeded through these instances, they have the skill. I don't care about the gear. Give me the skill players. You know what? You know they say, bring the player, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, hey, it's the way of the game.
If even not a skill level, just the ability to show that you can dedicate 30 minutes one evening to go get yourself prepared for something, that goes a long way, in my opinion. It's like looking at the Onyxia chain. There's a good example, a perfect
Warlock
example.
Mount.
Yeah, the Warlock. Oh, I got first-hand experience on this. The old Warlock mount chain was like 3 times longer and more involved than the Paladin mount chain, because I've done both of them, and
There's a ton of money.
A ton of money. Well, I had it easy getting my Paladin's mount because I was a blacksmith. So, and it's like, oh, you need like 100 million arcane crystals? Let me check my bank. Yep, got them. And then I just moved on. So it was it was a little easy for me. It was basically time and effort and getting people to go into Skullomance. But yeah, anyway, the Onyxia quest chain is a great example of what they could do more of to make people happy, and a good example of things to kind of put sticky notes onto to avoid. Quest chain attunement, good idea. Horribly contrived and convoluted things involving transforming items in the middle of a fight to drop them and positional stuff. Bad idea. That turns people off. I remember the cave in Duskwalla Marsh, where you had to go subdue the dragon. If there was some issue where that got screwed up, you had to start that part all over again, because the item would despawn, and the item would have like a 2-hour reset, so the dragon would have to reset and all that stuff. And that's where Blizzard's kind of learned, oh yeah, we can't do stuff like that anymore. Because now when that stuff breaks, it takes a server reset to fix. So a good example is... what's the town in Twilight Highlands for the Alliance? The keep where you start? Highbank or something like that?
Highbank, yeah.
Yeah, if you go into there right now, there's a good chance that the quest to get in the cannon from Flintlock to fire yourself up onto the Goblin Zeppelin and sabotage it, sometimes that cannon breaks, and you literally cannot complete the Twilight Highlands on your characters until they do a server restart. So that's kind of frustrating. But if you have dangerous elements like that, and required stuff. Like, imagine having to complete high bank quests in order to go into a raid.
Wow.
That would be a serious detriment if it broke.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's move on to talking about the economy on the servers being really horrible right now.
Yeah, the Steamweedle Cartel US server has in most people's opinion, an absolute terrible economy. A lot of people that go to other role-playing servers like Wormrest or Moonguard or something like that, and that are on other PvP servers, they're like, "Oh man, the economy is so much better over here." I pretty much solely blame that on the people that play the auction house. It annoys the crap out of me. It annoys the crap out of everybody else when they got to go get gems or something like that. But I mean, it's not like they're doing anything wrong. But I would call it a little bit of immoral exploitation that literally half a dozen people that load up Auctioneer and park themselves in Stormwind can literally ruin the economy of a server.
Yeah, I hate it when you go to buy an uncut green gem and it costs like 150 to 200 gold. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Sadly, I mean, I have two other servers that I have tunes on that I actually go visit, we'll say occasionally, and their markets seem to be as bad as ours, maybe a little bit behind, but we seem to be in the lead here for a horrible market.
Horrible market. Some of it, well, not everybody's lucky and has like a jewel crafting hole or, you know, a pocket enchanter, cough, semi, something like that. But yeah, I know a lot of people, as soon as they get an upgrade, they'll hit the auction house or something, and they'll 1 week of raiding, they'll dump 2,000-3,000 gold on getting their gear outfitted properly. So it's it seems a little harsh, but hey, power to the guys that have jewel crafter alts, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I think we was going to talk a little bit about Mr. Pandaria, Kat.
Oh, I was going to talk about that.
Spotlights.
I'm not sure where to go with this, but
Deer in headlights.
I'm really curious what the entry level rates will be like. To start it off, I guess, because at the beginning of Wrath, you had an Extremis, which was like stupid easy, and then you had at the beginning of Cataclysm, you had Blackwing Descent, and then you had Bastion of Twilight and Throne of the Four Winds, and those were quite a bit harder. I thought, at least, the difficulty levels for those were higher than next round back in Wrath. But I'd like to see where they go with it, with, like, since they'll have LFR for it, what the main normal difficulty for it will be like, if it'll still take a really long time for people to, you know, power through, you know, the first raid, or, you know, how many of them there will be. So.
Yeah, I think if they don't change the difficulty of the looking for raid, I think a lot of people, more people than in past expansions, will experience the raids much more faster than what they had been.
Yeah, I think content-wise, people are pretty happy, since, you know, rather casual people actually get to see what happens to Deathwing and the world in general. So
yeah.
There's a question then. What if it was up to you guys, what would you like the first rating tier in Mr. Pandaria to look like? If you use, like you said, the Naxxramas, for example, early Wrath, you had multiple instances. You could all hit all at once. You could do Naxxramas, you could do Malagos. Wasn't there a...
Obsidian Sanctum.
Yeah,
you could do the Obsidian Sanctum also. So there was like the main raid, and then there were two small raids that had one or two bosses, one each in that case, but same idea. Or would you rather have something, say, like the Firelands? One raid, multiple bosses, whereas compared to, say, Firelands and Dragon Soul, you have to do it in a linear progression. You go in, bam, Morchok, bam, one of the two squid guys, then the other squid guy, Hagara, and you move on. Well, Firelands, you could go in, start anywhere you wanted to. Oh man, this one looks really hard, so let's start with Rhyolith, or Shanox is supposed to be really easy. Let's kill Trash until he spawns, and then we can work on other bosses, stuff like that. Would you guys rather have multiple raids or one raid? And either way, would you prefer a linear progression or kind of bam, out the door, take your choice of bosses, and then work your way to the end?
I still like the wing setup of Naxxramas and the 2 raids. I thought that worked perfectly for them, because if you look back, the 3 raid setup is just there by default now. If you look back to BC, you had Magtheridon, you had Karazhan, and you had Gruul. Those were the 3 you did. Now, mind you, the other 2 were harder, but Karazhan was really long. Naxxramas was really long. They kind of got away from the main one long instance raid that you focused on with this expansion. And, I kind of like the length of Naxxramas and then wings and be able to select, well, our group is stronger here. We're going to start here, and then we'll come back to this other content that we're not sure about. You could always get down at least one wing. And now, obviously, as you progressed, you went down, you got all the wings, but you could choose what fit your raid, and I like that idea. Because obviously our guild has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's not the same as another guild's.
I think everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and it's really good to play on that with the wings. I have to agree with you. I really like that format. So,
would you almost say you'd like another Ulduar also? No. Because hear me out. Going from Naxxramas and the other 2 dragons to Ulduar was kind of the hybrid between one raid and having some choices. You could skip the Furnace Master and whatever the dragon was, and you could go right to the Deconstructor. Then you had your choice of the Guardians to kill. And you could really it was kind of the Firelands of Wrath of the Lich King, where when you went in, you could say, you know what, we can totally do the Furnace Master with this group. We've got the strategy down. Let's go farm him, and then we'll work on something. And then 5 weeks later, it's like, well, we really need to be working on Hodir. So we're going to skip Furnace Master, go straight to Deconstructor, get on the Guardians. That is kind of the opposite of, say, Dragon Soul, where it's like, well, Morchok and Yorshaz and Zanaz and Hagara are easy. We have to kill all of them, then we can work on Ontraxian, and then we can work on Blackhorn, and then, where you have to basically clear everything to keep moving forward. What do you guys favor on that?
Options is what I'll say, because I like to be able to say, okay, we always have this division of the best raiders and the not so great raiders. When you have the guys who can come in and do okay, you take the fights the fights you can progress on. When you take your new guys in, your best guys in, I should say, you want to reward them with something that maybe drops a best in slot item for them. We're going to go and aim our raid at this guy. It's a way to reward and to add variety to the raids, because the best raiders get bored with repeating the same bosses. The great thing about Naxxramas was, like I say, you could switch wings completely. You didn't have to clear anyone until you wanted to go kill the final boss.
Yeah, I really liked the wings in Nax too. It was just, like you said, options are so much better. Let's talk about pet battles in Mr. Pandaria.
Pokemon!
No.
I'm so excited about it. I'm still trying to figure out which pet I'll use.
Yeah, honestly, I don't care. I mean, it's an added feature that will be explicitly there for people to just waste time doing. And some people will love it, and it'll be fun for them. Some people, just like PvP, for example, some people will not care. I don't want to play Pokemon, or that looks stupid, and they don't do anything with it. I don't have a problem with it being in the game. I'm not even that gung-ho about it myself. I'll probably dink around with it, especially if there's achievements involved, because I'm an achievement whore. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, yes, this is why I play the game. But on the other hand, it's not like, how dare they put that in here?
Okay, my point is...
Pokemon and Pandas, rage quit.
Does it? I haven't really looked into it, I'll admit, because it's something that just hasn't interested me. But when you look at it, is it going to be, oh well, this rare pet has special abilities, it's going to be really badass, so it's going to really favor the people who either A, grind up specific pets, or B, are healers and tanks and looking for group and get random luck on their side.
It'll also put more. I mean, you have to think about it from like a business standpoint. It'll also make people want to buy things.
Right, which is where my money comes from.
But I think that, it'll have achievements, and it'll be something that'll let you want to play, your character more, Like a small little flavor thing that's just kind of there for you to spend time and have fun with it.
Variety.
Even the people that have no interest in actually going out and doing the pet battles, the one thing I think they will really like, or some of them may like, some people obviously don't care, but with the pet battle system comes probably not account bound, but server bound pets. If you've got a really rare pet you got on, say, your tank character that you got doing random 5-man, it'll be shared with all your characters now, from what I understand. I hope they don't go back on that, because they keep telling us we'd like account bound pets, we'd like account bound mounts, we'd like, or not bound, I mean
available.
Yeah, if you farm up, and again, this is people will rage over this.
My wife makes a good point of this, though. She has, I'm sorry to interrupt, but she has her main achievement character, her druid, over on another server, but she wants to play with me and you guys, so she's playing on her shaman. She would love her shaman a million times more if she could bring over those pets.
Yeah. Her pets and achievement points, and imagine people that still farm, like, say, Ice Crown Citadel Frostworms, or the third alt you've hit level cap on, and you're like, oh man, I got to get people to go back to the Ice Crown 5-mans to get my Red Proto Drake meta achievement, stuff like that. I mean, that'll be interesting, but that's stuff that people have always asked for years. I mean, literally for years, like before a lot of these concepts were even visualized, things that we have or think about. People were like, oh man, Blizzard, my level 60 warrior has this, mount from the trading card game, and, could I put it on my rogue? He's my new main now. And Blizzard's like, sorry, can't do that. But now they're like, that's stuff we would like to do. It'll take time to work it out and stuff like that. And, hey, you know what? There's a good tangent topic. How do you guys feel? Because there's I think it's influenced a lot by the subscription losses also, that people look really critically at Blizzard. I don't think looking at them critically is a bad idea. It's kind of like a government. You have to keep them working for you. And if it seems like they're slacking off, then constructively tell them, hey guys, we really don't think you're trying hard enough. We think you've dropped the ball on this. And I've seen a lot of well-written, constructive forum posts that have gotten positive, constructive blue comments in regards to them. If somebody's just like, Blizz fix, your game is crap, I cancel account, versus somebody that writes out a well thought out, like 10 paragraph, thesis on the state of things.
Wall of text.
Yeah, a big wall of text using decent spelling and grammar that's like, hey, these things I think deserve some serious consideration. I've seen the blue community managers go, this is actually just the kind of feedback we're looking for. I'll pass this on to the developers at our meeting later today. Stuff like that. I mean, you kind of have to believe they're telling you the truth, because if you mistrust them that badly, stop giving them money. But,
yeah. Well, the problem is you're also pairing Activision in there. But anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't too happy about the Activision tag now, but that notwithstanding is a lot of the things that Blizzard says. This is the question I was coming up with for you guys, and anybody that's listening, obviously, YouTube comments and all that stuff, is how strongly do you weigh Blizzard's word, if you will, when they say stuff like, that's in development, that'll take time, we haven't made time to do that yet, we're focused on other things, because it's always that scale. Well, we want to do the new character model graphic updates, and we want to do, cross account pets and mounts, and we want to do dance studio and all that stuff that people are like, Blizzard, where is this stuff? And they're like, well, it takes a lot of time, and our developers and art department hasn't been able to focus on it because we're pumping out a new content patch. But literally that, I mean, I'm trying to, this is what I feel is constructive criticism. They always say that.
Yeah.
They've said that for 7 years.
It's almost like an automated response.
Well, no, it's very automated response because it's literally what they say. It's like the checklist. Well, when somebody says this is what you say, because I mean that's not criticism there. That's PR. You can't say no. You have to say, we'll take it into consideration. We're working on it. Because if you say no, then people are going to go, huh, no? Okay, no more money. I mean, that's how it works. But they've made the argument before that they could pump out more stuff, but they would have to hire like a whole new art department, a whole new this. And then what happens when that task is done? Then they've got a dozen employees not doing anything. Whereas I say, you've got a dozen more employees, keep them doing more stuff. I mean, it doesn't seem like a no-brainer to me, but I can respect their position, but also a lot of stuff they've literally put off for years. I mean, years, not like
housing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I think stuff
truly bound on account items.
Yeah, I think stuff like player housing in the dance studio are not things that people should consider priorities. Yes, dance studio is on the box, whatever. But, I mean, there's so many quality of life changes. Look at the goblins and the worgen and just be like, they really could have 3 or 4 dudes completely dedicated to working on updating the character models. Maybe 3 or 4 dudes would take 5 months to do it, but it's something that could have been done 3 years ago. Why are they still putting it off? That I think is a very fair argument to make. So how much weight do you put in when they go, we'd like to do that, but we can't right now?
I honestly, like the bound down account items that they told us we'd be able to use, cross server, stuff like that. I just don't buy it. Their word means almost nothing when it comes to what they tell us we're going to get until I see it on beta. And even then, beta doesn't mean so much. Like early in the existence of the Wrath beta, or excuse me, the alpha, I had a private client I was playing on, and Spirit Link was around for shamans, but it wasn't the totem, it was actually a spell. And then it magically just disappeared until Cataclysm. So sometimes it may honestly come back, but I just don't buy their word on anything.
Heroic Leap, which they still don't like how it works.
Which isn't fixed, yeah.
Oh, and then they had a ground version for every flying mount, and you could still mount those in areas that you couldn't fly in. But they did away with that as well. That was in 4.0 beta. It was like, oh, I kind of like that.
If you've noticed, some of the flying mounts can be summoned in a no-fly zone, yes. like the engineering mounts, the celestial steed, and the guardian. So,
but not the drakes.
Right. There's drakes. Some of the drakes are just way too big. They're pretty when you get them, and everybody's got them, and then it's like everybody's got them. I remember in Dalarid when people would find those little spots that you could fly in the city and not be dismounted. So you'd have all the top tier raiders showing off their proto drakes that they'd get out of Ulduar and their heroic mode Ice Crown Citadel drakes, and then there'd always be some guy on a bronze drake. I'm just like, get out of here! You went into calling a Stratholme and won a dice roll.
Hey, at least it was more than getting the red one. Oh look, I paid a few thousand gold. I win.
Oh,
to be fair, there are some people on our server who still pay gold for rare amounts. So should we give them any credit?
Yeah. Let's move on to Pandas, the Pandaren faction choice.
I really like that.
I like it.
I like how they went from kind of like you have the Paladin and the Shaman class that were exclusive to different factions at first, and then you have the different races who came in and renowned and different expansions. But now they have just Pandas, and you can do whatever you want with them.
See, but I kind of like the idea. I'm sorry to interrupt. I like the whole Shamans are Horde, Paladins are Alliance. I like that because it added flavor to switching sides to the game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm Alliance. I kind of wish they'd left it like that. Honestly, I played.
You wouldn't have Obs and Baral. Come on.
I played no. I mean, I played the Horde for 2 years, and then I killed so many Paladins on PvP servers, and everybody was like, "Lol, Paladin." That I was like, man, you know what? I guarantee I can play a good Paladin. That's why I went Alliance. That's why I've been Alliance ever since, is because I had to go Alliance to be a Paladin. And then when the Blood Elves came out and they could be Paladins, I was never like, oh man, I better go back to the Horde now because that's my home. I liked both factions. It's just once you settle in, I'm not one of the people that can just be like, oh, patch note, my class ability got nerfed for PvP, I'm going Horde again. And then we all know people that do that flip-flop like every expansion, every other content patch when something comes up. It's like,
week.
Yeah, oh, I know a few guys on the Horde that are looking for a Paladin. Bam, $30. I'm a Tauren now. And then, 2 months later, I'm a Night Elf now. It's like, no. not for me. But no, I like the I'm gonna be honest, I was wrong. I was dead wrong. When the Cataclysm announcement was coming out, or not Cataclysm, when the Mr. Pandaria announcement was coming out for BlizzCon, I did not think there would be a new class or a new race. I not to go on a tangent, I thought they were going to develop a lot more things. So when it was like Monk and Pandaren, I was like, holy crap, let's see if they can pull this off, because that's interesting. I like the idea of one race that's available to both factions. Now, it's going to be chaotic, because you're like, oh, is that an enemy or is that a ally panda? Until it starts punching... Yeah, when it starts punching you in the face, you're like, oh, I guess he doesn't like me.
Maybe it could be like the... sorry to interrupt, but maybe it could be like the Moonkins, where the Horde Tauren ones are brown color, and then the Night Elf is the grayish black.
Yeah, except you're talking about a panda bear. They don't exactly have a lot of diversity in color schemes, if you've noticed.
Well, I'm sure they could come up with something.
I'm sure there'll be something. Kind of reminds me of Death Knights in a way.
If existing Blizzard trend to factional colors goes, the Horde Pandas would have badass glowing red eyes, and the Alliance Paladins would have pink ribbons in their fur.
I think you'd like it more.
I think the Horde Pandas will be more like a reddish color. Red Pandas.
Oh.
And then the Alliance will be the traditional black ones.
They're not even bears. Anyway, no, I think it's interesting for people that may not know this. A really quick summary is when you roll a panda, you start completely neutral. You start with all the other pandas on the entire server that are at your level, and you quest up to like level 10. And they haven't exactly concreted it down, but basically you're going to quest up to about a level 10, and then you complete your starting zone quest chain. And then you're given a choice, and I'm sure it'll be a really awesome story element too, because I like everything about the Pandara look. I like the Asian theme. I like, it's Kung Fu Panda. Well, screw you. It looked good, and Kung Fu Panda was an awesome movie. That notwithstanding.
I do have a question. I'm sorry, I want to interrupt. Have they decided what would happen if someone, summons one of the pandas away from the zone?
I doubt it'll work. You can't leave Gilneas as a Worgen. I know that.
You can't? Okay, I've never messed with it.
I doubt, you could initially. There was this. It was a bug where if you rolled a Worgen Druid and you got summoned into Stormwind or something before you got bit, you could actually be like a human Druid, but you would never get like Dark Flight and Twin Forms or whatever it's called. But
you mean those amazing things?
But yeah, the. Well, you'd also lose Aberration and not get the 1% crit, which is actually fairly nice for PvE, but not... Anyway, so you'll get to, like, level 10 as a panda, and then you complete your progression chain, and you're basically given a choice. kind of like a big moral dilemma at the end of this coming-of-age tale of young pandas, I guess, where it's like, do you want to be on the Horde or do you want to be on the Alliance? And what I'm sure Blizzard will not have it be like this, but what a lot of people need to understand is you don't get to level 10 and then decide, are you going to be good or evil? Because that is not what the Horde and Alliance represent. There's story-wise, there's plenty of corruption on both sides and nobility on both sides. So I'm really curious, and I know some of us, I do. I'm not sure about the three of you, but I have the year pass thing. You know, give me my free Diablo. So I'll be in the Mists of Pandaria beta.
Yeah, same.
So that's like before I mess around with Druid anything. That's what I'm going to do. I want to check out the Panda starting area. Me and the other, like, 5,000 people crashing the beta servers, probably. But I want to see what happens story-wise, because I want to know, because I think that will be really, really interesting. Because it's not like... it's not like Fable or something. Have you made up your mind if you're going to be a good guy or a bad guy? It's going to be which one of these groups of people appeals to you, which one of these groups of people matches the principles you stand for. I think that'll be the story element. I imagine as you're leveling, you'll probably interact with Horde and Alliance NPCs or something, and it will kind of set a backdrop for that. So, I mean, that's my hypothesis, of course, but yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think it will definitely add some dynamic. Yeah, of course, you know, once you pick a faction and level to the cap, you'll never ever see it again, but it'll be there. It'll be cool. So, yeah, it's looking forward to it.
Last thing, I guess, talents focused on PvP. How do you think it'll affect the game in Mists of Pandaria?
I'm not happy with it. Honestly, I'm not very happy with it. I like PvP, but I'm not like, I don't know. I'm of the mindset the game needs to be in two different aspects. It needs to be, you know, the PvP for people who want to do it, who are gung-ho for PvP, and then PvE. I feel like they're kind of restricting the PvE balance, and I don't think it'll go over very well when you actually get into the game.
I agree and disagree with you. I know that's a contradiction. I don't feel the talents are solely PvP based. Obviously, a lot of them are because of the utility those spells are, and I think that's the point, and I agree with that being a good decision, where right now, if you're like, well, I want to be a cat druid, so if I want a PvP, I need to change these like 9 talent points into this stuff, and I lose utility I would have in a raid and vice versa, because there's stuff in anybody's talent trees that is just absolute garbage, and Blizzard admits that and knows that, and they're like, we've got to change these. No matter how many iterations we do, how many times we try to change stuff, slim the trees down, there's just talents that the theory crafters pick apart, and they're absolutely worthless, and we don't like it. They don't like the cookie cutter. And everybody's like, well, the talent trees will just be cookie cutter too. Everybody will pick the best ones. I think Blizzard's trying really hard to, and a part of this is basically, but some of the options are like, oh, all 3 of them are awesome. I can only have one. I don't have a choice. So, I mean, that's kind of like the ultimatum version. Well, you got to pick one, so do it. You have to give up the others, or play another class. But no, I think that's good, and I don't feel that everything in those trees are PvP. A lot of them, for example, the bottom tier mage one gives you 3 different versions of polymorph. So you could pick one to help with 5-mans, you could pick one that you feel is the best for arenas, and then the theory crafters from both sides will go, yeah, that's the one you need to be using if you're doing a rated battleground, or that's the one you need to use for 5-man, or they're all crap for raiding, it doesn't matter. I mean, everybody's going to do that, but for the first time, honestly, especially as a druid, because I will now have 4 legitimate talent trees, and everybody, druids don't deserve. Play a feral druid. From both sides of the fence is you're either going to get crap for being able to go into bear form and soak up damage, or you will get crap for what did people call me back in Wrath? The Hong Kong Rogue, because I was a knockoff. Yeah, that was a little bit annoying to be like, well, no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to be as good as a great rogue, because that's the way Blizzard wanted me to be. You know, you've got the hybrid utility, you bring the crit buff, stuff like that. Paired with, well, you've also got your talents and stuff budgeted for off-tanking and stuff like that. So, yeah, sign me up for being a Panther that is literally a rogue that looks different and has some different unique abilities. So that's cool.
Info.
So what's interesting, though, is that between the talent choices, a lot of them are just obvious PvP things, but there's a lot of utility spells in there too that will make things very interesting, and I think it will let people play a little more, like I said, to how they feel they would like to play. For example, I think one of the Druid trees, one of the 3 talent choices, I basically choose between Typhoon, that I can cast in animal form to knock things away, and I could also choose to get, say, the Treants. So I could either have some control, or I can have a little extra damage on the cooldown. And for the life of me, I can't remember if those things are on the same one. But there's stuff like that. Somebody's got some vicious background noise, so sorry about that.
Okay, but I want you to go and take a nice look at the shaman trees.
Yeah.
And tell me how much
I've
of that
seen
is
them. They're
honestly
terrible.
useful.
Yeah, the shaman trees are terrible, and I hope Blizzard realizes that. So,
Well, yeah. Well, I guess that's it for this show. I think we've went on long enough. Anyone have any questions? Yeah. Just want to thank our listeners, and I want to thank special guest Tom for being on the show, and hopefully we'll have him back on again soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
press 1 for more shaman.
Yeah. And actually, thinking probably in a couple more weeks, we'll actually have our first roundtable discussion, so keep an eye out for that. Again, thank everyone for listening.
Absolutely, and feel free to, now that this will be our 2nd episode, even though it's technically our 3rd week, feel free to leave any comments down below about things that you might like to see discussed or brought up, or hey, toss in a shout out or something. We're eager to please and entertain, so if I can find a way to debase Jeff for y'all's amusement, that would be fantastic. But, yeah, there's definitely a lot of topics for us to still go over. One thing I mentioned last episode again, sorry, that we didn't go over this time was the story itself, I think. And there's definitely stuff to talk about in Dragon Soul, cough cough, thrall baby. But there's definitely stuff to go over in terms of the lore and going into Mists of Pandaria and the books. I just got from Amazon. I've been a lazy dude and have not read the 2 most recent Warcraft books, which I have sitting here right on my desk. Thrall Aspect, or Twilight of the Aspects, and Wolfheart. So I need to knock those out because, you know, I'm a lore nerd. I like to know what's going on, and hey, it's good stuff. But yeah, between that and I definitely think there were a few more things we had lined up to go over that we totally skipped. But it all comes around.
Yeah, okay, we rambled on other things to make up for it, right?
Oh yeah. I will ramble until I pass out.
He's not kidding, folks. He will do it. You should be in the raid with us.
Hey, that's just cool.
Take a power nap.
Real nap.
This is Gruel's Lair. Who hasn't been here before?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Group 5 will be in the top right corner. Please look at your mini-map. I'm clicking there now. Yeah, that was good time. That was good times.
Oh, that is
The
great.
Station of Legend.
Yeah.
45 minutes long.
At any rate, thank you again for listening, and we shall see you next week.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Later.